All right, welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, May 22nd. The time is 3 o'clock and this is the District of Sechelt Committee of the Whole meeting. I'd like to start by acknowledging that the District of Sechelt is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Sechelt Nation. We respect the histories, language, and culture of the people of the Sechelt Nation whose presence continues to enrich this community. And I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the nation on the opening of their House of Clans project, which is beautiful. So I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask if there are any declarations of conflict. Seeing none, I will look for a motion to adopt the agenda. First, seconded, all in favor? Moved. No delegations and proclamations, so we will move efficiently into 5.1, business item protection of trees on the District of Sechelt public lands. And I see that Mr. Nyos is at the microphone and ready to.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. In the past year, there has been at least 20 incidents of unpermitted tree removal, damage, accretion of district road allowances, clearing and habitat destruction without the ability to engage in any kind of enforcement actions. There's even been an incident of a resident removing 5 very large Western red cedars from road allowance in order to accrete and occupy district property. Removal of trees from district lands that are retaining steep slopes can be extremely difficult and costly to remediate. The challenges presented by unauthorized tree removal or damage to trees does span many departments and affects us all. The proposed amendments empower district staff, bylaw enforcement officers to issue $1,000 fines under the MTI bylaw and to seek a conviction under the Offence Act for more serious violations of the highways and parking bylaw. Each cut or damaged tree would represent a separate and distinct violation. We believe that trees are a valued natural asset of the community and must be protected. As part of these amendments, tree removal for cosmetic or aesthetic reasons are prohibited. Pruning would also be prohibited as this practice invariably shortens the life of a tree and would result in it having to be removed at a cost to the district. Where tree removal is necessary for development or driveways, or where a tree has become diseased and dangerous, there is a mechanism for the approval and removal of the tree. There is a policy for this that is part of the proposed amendments. There are also some minor housekeeping amendments to help with the regulating of parking of unlicensed vehicles in district highways and some better definitions to keep up with advances in personal mobility devices. But I will point out this doesn't apply to handicapped motorized vehicles and wheelchairs. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
All right, I look to council for any questions or clarifications. Anybody? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bell.
Yes, through the chair. I guess for me, I'm just a little confused, if you like, about why these two are combined. They're so different, these two situations. So can you explain that to me?
You mean the housekeeping amendments?
And then the road thing, so it's.
Well, it was the same bylaw, and we thought it was an opportunity to kind of grab some really hot issues for us. We've had some issues with unlicensed vehicles and our ability to deal with them on the district property. And so my bylaw staff implored and pleaded with me to include this in this package before you today.
Okay. Okay, I certainly agree that it needs to be addressed. Yeah, I know it's an issue. So as long as it works, to have it combined with this, then I'm fine.
Just because it's the same bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Inkster.
Just a clarity, because there's some public confusion. This is, and because I've heard the public confusion, this is public land, tree protection, road right of ways.
This refers to lands owned by the district that are not in parks. And so road allowances and dead-end roads, but not private property. That is not before you today. It's just to deal with trees that are the responsibility and on the lands owned and managed by the district, not private.
Thanks for clarification.
Anybody else? Counselor Shepherd?
Through the chair, I wonder if I could ask why I know you're trying to capture, use this time to get several things done, but just tell us the background problem with the vehicles you're looking for the bylaw with change on. Thank you.
We've, through the chair to Councillor Shepherd, we've been having problems with enforcement of being able to issue fines for unlicensed vehicles. There's nothing in there right now that gives us that ability. We can tow them, but we can't fine them. We can tow them if they're abandoned, but we can't really fine them. And so by finding them, it gives us just this step before we would actually look at removal that has been missing.
Anyone else? All right, Counselor McLaughlin?
Thank you, through the chair. I was noticing in the past policy, there was a reference to allowing people to have views and taking out trees or for that purpose. And I see in the new policy that is no longer the case. You want to explain that to some people? They might be saying, oh, no, I was hoping to have a better view.
Well, ultimately, I think that's a question of what this council would place in the way of value on trees. Is having, there's certain areas where you shouldn't absolutely remove a tree, like on a steep slope where they're assisting in retaining an otherwise unstable slope. I don't think those trees should be removed under any circumstances at all. And unfortunately, nature has another mind about that every now and then, as we saw just recently. But when it comes to a view, is it more valuable to this council that a property has a view, or is it more valuable to retain a natural asset in that tree? And I myself, and I speak personally, I see a greater value in keeping the tree. Trees, they are sequestering carbon, they are moderating the climate around us. Having trees around my house makes it cooler, especially the shade they're offering on Saturday. So I think it's just a matter of what is more valuable to you. And that's something that we're hoping you'll consider. And we do consider trees to be a natural asset that should be retained. I think all of us have appreciated the value they have for raptors and other birds that not only nest in them, but perch in them from time to time, and the value in that maybe. But I think that's a question that you perhaps should ask yourself, Councillor.
My favorite air conditioner is my giant cedar tree in my front yard, so I have that. So, thank you. Okay, I just thought it'd be nice to have some comments on that because it's not really written about in the report, but it is something that people here are very concerned about, is their views from their property. Thank you, which it may be why some people take out trees without asking. Yeah.
Counselor Inkster?
Thank you. I'm through chair. I'm glad that that the fine is larger and it's by individual tree. My question through you to staff is, are we utilizing the fines to replant? And if we are we taking a fire smart approach to the replanting?
Nice.
Excellent question to Councillor Inkster, through the chair. We have had an incident where a resident removed several trees from a slope, and the fines are intended solely as a penalty, but there is a level of discretion that was applied in this particular instance because the person that removed the trees was willing to engage in a replanting program. as directed by the district arborist and staff. And so fines are certainly a vehicle of, they accomplish two things. One, they are a penalty for violation of a bylaw. And two, they set an example, the presence of a fine set an example that of the means we're willing to go to enforce our bylaws. And the MTI bylaw is short of the Offense Act is the highest level that we have available to us presently. So I think dependent on the reaction of someone who does remove trees and their willingness to engage in a remediation program would determine how many fines and the level of which we would go to. In this incident I was talking about, the person is certainly willing and to pay for the remediation and as directed by staff.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for that answer. In some cases, obviously, the owner will work, person who did it will work to plant more trees, I'm assuming. I would hope, just an encouragement to staff, as I always have on some of our tree issues throughout the district, is to look at ways of replanting. And I would like us to consider replanting with deciduous trees. It's just more fire smart. There's more liquid in the leaves to keep our community safer when we replant the canopy. So just through you to encourage staff, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Todd.
Thank you. No comments. Last time we saw this, I mentioned that I felt that the fines were not high enough, but we do have the Offense Act ability if necessary. I'm going to move the recommendations on page 2 as presented.
Corporate officer, since we're at committee at the whole, do we potentially pass these recommendations and they go to council for the bylaws to be read? Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion that's been first and seconded to approve the recommendations on page 2. Any further comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? Oops, sorry. And that's passed. Thank you. Motion to adjourn? And second, all in favor? Thanks. Thanks for coming out, fans.